And welcome back to The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronald Two Legs. I'm here with the owner of AIW Absolute Intense Wrestling, Mr. John Thorne. How's it going, Thorne?
Hello, I'm here. You know, we always talk about how we're getting back on schedule, and then all my fucking goddamn co-host 1A and co-host 1B are always so fucking busy. It's hard to lock you guys down. I'm gonna need to find a co-host 1C. I think at this point, you guys are always got something going on.
You switch the day on me too often. I gotta try to juggle a million things at once.
Well, you guys tell me a day, and then I can make it I can accommodate that. But everyone is just so busy lately. It's been hard to lock you guys down, and then when you guys are available, I'm not available. So it's been tough to try to get back in the recording studio, get back on dropping some tracks.
I feel like we should go to Wednesday evening, drop it Thursday or Friday morning, or maybe save it for Friday. You know what I mean? Then drop it every Friday morning. Do it Wednesday night. Get a little.
Or we can do it Thursday. You know, you never know.
Or Thursday evening. Yeah, I'm open Thursday as well.
Yeah, and then, Steve Guy, the problem is, try to get Steve Guy involved, and then he's got some, comedy endeavor on Wednesday or whatever fucking day. So, I mean, you guys are just always...
Comedy's late nights, though.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Comedy's at night, There's no day comedy gigs.
Well, maybe he should start it. Maybe he could be an innovator. Daytime comedy. Lunchtime comedy special.
Like skip out of work for afternoon lunch, catch a little stand-up set, get a little laugh, and then get back to work. So you don't want to kill somebody at your office job.
Lunch and a laugh, dude. Somebody should
lunch. Did you just invent something for Steve Guy there? Holy crap!
Lunch and a laugh. Let's get it going at the Winchesters.
There you go.
But yeah, everyone's been kind of busy, and we've been busy, continuing to. Develop this multimedia empire behind closed doors. So, there's been a lot of things in motion, and we just haven't had a chance to do a podcast. But I am committed to getting this back on schedule one way or another. We have so many shows that we have to go back and review. We have to get back to exclusive Patreon content. There's so many different things up on the whiteboard right now.
So we did say that for Patreon content, we do kind of have a timeline on that. We kind of just need to wait till Hell on Earth because we plan to do some while we got everyone there behind the scenes instead of between doing their matches or whatever, we're going to bust out the pod equipment and do some stuff. So that kind of has a timeline. We kind of got to wait till Hell on Earth. So.
Yeah, and
we'll get that done.
Just an update, as you know, but nobody else knows. We did invest in brand new, in-person recording equipment. The old podcast equipment has been kind of commandeered by the new AIW production section of the business. They've been using that for audio mixing. So it's kind of off the table to record stuff at shows because it's, part of the setup. And then also, all that stuff is, stays with the crew because now we're doing, we're recording other shows now. So, it's hard to kind of get my hands on that stuff. So I just bought a whole new podcast setup, which, I just, got in the mail late last week. So, I have everything kind of, put together for that for Hell on Earth, for us to use it. And it has a lot more, it's like a updated version of what we had, and it has a lot more features. We can bring in telephone calls and things like that on there now. So
you hear that, Joe? Telephone calls.
Expensive. It was an expensive investment, but we are committed to getting all this stuff back on track now that, the dust is kind of settling on, all the transitions and everything else that we've been going through over the last few months. Now it's time to kind of put all these things to use, so to speak. I know that, you have stated that, you'll try to coordinate that on a show day as far as getting people together and, getting some exclusive Patreon content recorded. And that's the thing, is like, we're trying to it's really just been trying to figure out how to delegate all these different moving parts. I mean, running a wrestling show was like hard enough, and now it's just like, the stress has probably quadrupled as far as what we have to do on a show day, and it's a lot. It's a lot of moving parts. So I've been trying to figure out how to delegate these different things and how to get it done. So it's been a work in progress, but I think finally we have kind of most of the pieces in place for it to happen.
So that brings up a good point then. We kind of do it now already with this podcast, but if there's something you want to talk about or people you want me to ask questions to, anything you want me to do behind the scenes for these Patreon stuff, put it in the Discord so I can, have a place a fishing well to kind of go to. If you want something asked, or you want me to, ask something to somebody, day of a show or something like that, put it in there, and then when we go to take care of that stuff, I'll have somewhere to look for it.
That way, for sure.
Patreon stuff.
Yeah, maybe we'll make a little section in there, Patreon content ideas or something, in the Discord.
Not that I want anyone to do my job per se. I just want to know if there's specific things you want. That's where you want to ask them, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So it's just been we've been really, really busy, trying to sort through all this stuff, and now we're also running a full-on production company. Not only producing live streams for AIW, but this past weekend we produced the Black Label Slamilton shows, and we have more stuff like that on the books as we close out 2022 and head into 2023. We have a lot more kind of different production gigs in place right now, and it's busy time.
I think they did pretty well from what you heard too. The crew that went out there,
did
a great job.
Chase Oliver has kind of become the EVP of live production and broadcasts, and he's put together a crew out of the AIW school, and it's probably going to be a rotating cast as people want to learn. And that's kind of, the other kind of underlying interesting thing is now, people at the AIW school are learning different skills, not just, wrestling, bumping and all that stuff. Now, as we're learning on the fly, they're also learning with us, how to do live production and live streaming and, the videography and all that stuff. So that's kind of a little interesting, little twist as far as, people signing up for our school is, a lot of them are jumping at the opportunity to learn new things and, also contribute, in different ways. Dustin Alberti has jumped in and kind of, leaned into like an executive producer role. He went on the road with them this weekend, and was kind of like Chase's, all hands on deck person, and observational banter, our favorite up and comer observational banter, Caleb. And
somebody, damn it, you said his name. Somebody called him by his name, and I was like, "Stop it!" Observational banter is what we're calling him.
And Ethan, they've been, taking turns shooting the shows and operating the different camera angles and things like that. So all in all, I think it went well. Obviously we don't have it down to a perfect science just yet, and you are kind of at the mercy of an internet connection. But as you know, Pat, before we started recording, you're having trouble with your connection. But other than that, I think things are really exciting for the whole AIW crew, and we've had other promotions inquire about hiring us, and it's being busy, and Chase Oliver is probably gonna be doing this full time at some way or the other, it seems, just based on, the AIW volume of work and as well as the, inquiries we're getting for other shows to be shot. So lots of exciting moves going on in the AIW camp.
I just feel like that adds such a great, incredibly like huge option, like in multiple options to like come to a wrestling school and learn. I mean, like that's like you said, it's just one thing to come and you learn how to bump and this and that. Okay, maybe if wrestling isn't for you, you could be a ref and there's like a couple things you can learn. Now you're opening up a whole wide array of jobs that could be done. And it's like, somebody comes to the school and they're like, man, I really love wrestling. They take they're in the ring for a week or so maybe, and they're just like, I'm just, excuse me, they're like, I'm just not feeling it. I can't, this isn't for me. Maybe they're not the most athletic person. It's just the timing isn't down, but they're like, I've done video stuff, or I've had an eye for that my whole life. Maybe I take a dip into that, and they find something that they really enjoy. I mean, it's just opening up such a wide array of things you can do and still be a part of the wrestling world and enjoy it and help out and be creative and be there as well, And I don't know, I just think this new step with the production stuff just adds so much more to it in such a good way, I think.
Yeah,
especially for the school in general.
Yeah, and like I said, there's this, we have this other podcasting set up now, and we also do these remote podcasts like we're doing right now. So there's a few different kind of avenues that I think we need to develop or look into. But I think heading into 2023, I think that there's kind of a lot of room for us to continue to grow. And the thing that's crazy is AIW's been around for so long, and it's it never feels like it never feels like it's like, okay, like everything's fine, like complacent, you know what I mean? Like there's always kind of a new challenge or new endeavor on the horizon, and everyone is super excited kind of to take on all of this, I guess these new kind of tasks, or what I mean, these new hurdles. Everyone seems pretty motivated about it. So I am happy that the schedule has slowed down a little bit right now. You know what I mean? So we can kind of get our bearings a little bit. But we did all that, and then we also last week we went and picked up a brand new lowboy ring. So the quality of the shows at the Winchester and, if we have, some other venues with lower ceilings are going to vastly improve in 2023 as well. So we have a brand new ring for that. We realized that the ropes, for whatever reason, not tightening, was affecting the quality of the show. And we decided that we were going to invest in, take those steps to, improve the quality and therefore continue to make those Winchester dates. And, if we pick up any other dates in similar venues, not miss, you know what I mean? Like, we recognized that it was a problem and we tried to fix it. And we made the trip last Friday down to Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. And, we picked up the ring. 5.5 there, 5.5 back. Plus it was an hour from my house. Well, actually, it was an hour from my house to Pedro's house, then 5.5 from his house to Kentucky, then 5.5 from there back to his house, and then an hour from his house to the storage unit. So, I mean, it was probably like a 14-hour day, I think, last Friday. It's a lot of time spent in the car.
So that's pretty exciting, though. New lowboy ring. I know some of those shows at the Winchester were exciting with the ropes and how that went, but now there's going to be no loosening of the ropes. It's going to be like a really structurally sound lowboy, then, is what you're saying, huh?
Yeah, so I talked to the people at Monster Rings, and they said that the ring that we had bought before was not, like, it was considered like a backyard ring. It was like one of their, like, it was made with like cheaper steel or something like that. It wasn't really made for, show quality shows. They didn't really make a pro grade lowboy ring until a few months ago, once they realized that, there was such a need for it. So, it's made with like structural grade steel. They said we should have absolutely no problems with this ring whatsoever. So, we're excited. We also purchased a brand new steel cage while we were there.
What?
So
wait a minute. A fucking steel cage? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we got a new lowboy ring and we got a steel cage. I have no idea when we're going to use it, but there is now a steel cage in the portfolio of Absolute Intense Wrestling as far as all of our assets go. We have a brand new steel cage.
Now you got my interest peaked, because I've been annoying you about, because you own a steel cage. It's just like locked in the basement of like Turner or something because you can't get it out. It's too big to get out or something like that. So you've just like essentially left it or whatever.
Yeah, we had nowhere to put it. We had a big steel cage and we just kind of, when we moved out of Turner's Hall, we just had nowhere to put it because it was like gigantic, like 20-foot pieces, and there was just nowhere to put it, and like it won't fit in a storage unit, it wouldn't fit in like somebody's garage. We would have had to have left it outside, and then we just left it there, and now I don't know, it's probably been scrapped or something because the Turner's Hall wrestling whatever went in there, they sold the building. So God only knows what happened to the famed pink steel cage that was once in AIW's possession, but now we have a brand new steel cage, and
yes.
I don't know when we're going to use it, but we figured if we were making the trip, we might as well, just, load up on our need to travel to Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, in Monster Ring's headquarters. So we got a new lowboy and a new steel cage last Friday. That's how I spent my Friday last week.
Now I'm excited. Now you got me, because I've been annoying you about that pink cage forever, and you're like, I don't even know where that thing is. Now we got a steel cage. Now that's pretty awesome. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no idea when we're going to use it, but we do have it. Shout out to the crew that made the trip: Pedro, Artie Mack, myself, and student Alex. It was a lot of time in a car, and then we loaded it up. And 20 minutes later, we were back on the road heading back to Cleveland. So, yeah, it was a long day, but long overdue. I don't think we have a Winchester date on the books until February or March. But there is a possibility we will return to the Outpost in January. We're talking to them right now about their indoor area, which is very Winchester-esque. Right. So, we could be putting this new ring to use as soon as January, depending on how these talks go.
To me, it was very Winchester-esque, but it was a little more room. It had a couple other like rooms that you could access that were not even really like rooms. You know what I mean? Like there was just kind of different areas. So it kind of makes it feel a little bigger than the Winchester is.
It's bigger, but I just don't know like where you would do the show, where those where the sight lines would be within those rooms. You know what I mean? But there is certainly a lot more room, a lot of room for merch and things like that. So we're talking about something in January, and if that comes together, that would be the first kind of debut of this new ring that we just purchased. Otherwise, because we were looking at a January date at the Winchester, and the date that we wanted was not available, so we were going to take January off, and now the Outpost is trying to get us to try something out because Kent will be back from winter break and all that stuff, so not too much going on out that way as far as entertainment, so they're trying to get us on the books to try something out there again, potentially in late January. So that would be the debut of the new lowboy ring if that comes together.
I think that place has a lot of potential.
For sure. I mean, I thought it was super cool. Obviously wasn't highly attended. I think it fell victim to really the summer schedule kind of boiling up and being too much for fans. But the outdoor space I thought was like unreal. Like I thought that you could do it. It has potential to be like a way bigger Wrestle Rager if the people show up out there. So there's a lot of potential I think with that venue, but we're obviously only going to go back there if people buy tickets, right? So,
Right.
To be determined as far as that potential goes. But yeah, I have a lot of stuff kind of cooking up for 2023. I think we already have like 20 something shows I think on the books for next year. So it's going to be a busy 2023. It looks like.
I mean, that place had a huge parking lot. The indoor or the outside, like the inside that fence area that was the outside area, was all grass. I mean, you're talking, I love Wrestle Rager. I love, that's class. I love that place. But that blacktop, man, the hot cement, it gets hot as hell. Like it just beats down on you. You could be out at the outpost and you could have freaking lawn chairs with like umbrellas. People could be grilling out in the parking lot before Rager starts and stuff. I mean, that place.
Yeah, it's huge.
Talk about potential. That place got a lot of potential.
Yeah, they own like all that land. I guess the outpost does. It's like a couple acres, I think. Behind it. So there's a lot of potential for that space if we can get it going and get the right things lined up for the summertime, because I really like that outdoor area. You know what I mean? There was just a lot of, like you said, a lot of room. It was, grass. It wasn't on the blacktop. Cool vibe at that place.
Do you think this would be maybe shooting a little too high? But what about, because they had all that room in the back that was all grassed out. Have they ever done anything like an overnight, like where you could camp in the back and then we could run a night show, like start at 8 o'clock and finish at like 11 and have lights back there, run a daytime show, have a break, and then run a night show, maybe even like a tournament, a day and a night, and then have people wouldn't have to drive home out of there. You could camp in tents in the back and just hang out all night, maybe even have a band at some point, like in between or something. That place has a lot of potential.
I don't know. You know what I mean? We'd have to talk to him. You are EVP of camping operations, so
that's true.
Maybe that would be maybe that's a conversation for you. I know you're trying to find us, get us in the campground circuit one way or another. So who knows?
It just seems like it would be a good time to have a night show. Then people don't have to drive home. It's summertime, you camp out.
Yeah, I'm with
Hang
it.
Hang out with the wrestlers, rage.
I just don't know what the what the legalities are of all that. You know what I mean? Or if they would have it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, who knows? There's probably a lot of red tape since it's just pretty much like a bar. I don't know what the camping on the property and all that stuff. I don't know how all that works, but they certainly have potential because they have a ton of property in that area. So
yeah. I just think about with the camping, sometimes you get people who are like, oh, I'd really like to attend an after party or kind of hang out, but they're driving from far. They don't want to drive home. It's too hard to Uber if you're, going over an hour or so away. With something like that, hey, you're there. You ain't got to worry about it. The wrestlers are hanging out. Everyone's partying. You don't got to worry about driving out of there,
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, there's just a lot of things on the horizon right now. I think there's, a lot of exciting possibilities for the AIW crew, and we're really becoming very self-sufficient, which is, another interesting kind of wrinkle is, if we get offered a date somewhere, we can do it now. You know what I mean? We have all of the equipment, like, other than, making sure our crew is available, you know what I mean? Or somebody within the crew is available to operate the equipment. We're pretty much, open for business for everything now. You know what I mean? And, Smart Mark Video is always very accommodating, but, they only have so many people that they can send out. And if there's no crews, there's no crews. And now, none of that matters because we have all our own stuff. So, that's kind of another interesting thing for possibilities in 2023. obviously I don't want to run as many shows as we did in a short amount of time. You know what I mean? Like that end of summer run was just really insane. So I'm trying to avoid that, but some of them were paid gigs and things like that we couldn't pass up. So I don't know, right. I don't know what we're going to do, but right now, as of now, I have the schedule pretty spaced out. Some things could pop up here and there, but we've kind of a lot of irons in the fire, as far as different things that we can do. So yeah, I mean,
I love it.
I think another kind of big test for the company was, that Halloween show that we did at the Winchester, which is the last time we podcast. We kind of were hyping up a little bit. That
Calling
was,
all skeletons.
That was, out of all the shows that we've done, I didn't think that one was going to get so much Wrestling Observer coverage. I'll tell you that. I can honestly say that.
Yeah.
It was covered again today. Like, I don't know. Just so silly. But I think that was a great test for our crew to kind of try different things out and get outside of their comfort zone. And I think people liked it. What would you say?
Oh, yeah. I think people liked it for sure. I think some people liked it a little too much. I also just think that the crew needed that, the silliness of it, and just that kind of get out of the box of AIW for a minute, but still get to wrestle and still be in front of those fans, and still kind of be almost at your home crowd advantage. But you kind of they all got to do something new and kind of stretch their legs a little bit and try something else different. And I think everyone loved it. You just got to go to the show and just, this guy versus that guy, or this person versus that person, and they fight it out, and it was great.
Yeah, Caden at the end of the show was like, best show of the year. And I said, please don't say that. Like,
we talked about it on the other show on PVD, because Ed was like standing behind him and he's like, wait a minute. He's like, I don't think that was that an insult? I don't think that was a compliment.
I was like, Ed was standing right there. And I was like, don't say that. Like, come on. Like, I understand that it was the funnest show of the year, but like, let's not say it's the best show. You know what I mean? Like, it was fun.
I think he just kind of meant, in the same way that I meant, like, everyone, it was just fun to step out of the normal AIW kind of schedule that we had going. Because like you said, with the summer schedule, man, we had a lot of shows. There was a lot of things. There was a lot of things in the fire. And to just come out and watch the Swamp Monster fight the fucking
Hilljack.
Swamp Thing.
Hilljack.
Hilljack versus the Swamp Monster, dude. Oh, it was just, there were so many incredible moments when he called him a big swamp bastard.
Crowd chanted.
It's great. It was a great show. But I just think in the vein, I think he meant, just for everyone to just kind of get a little, to refresh, but it was still AIW, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, we didn't have to go to some other show or some other promotion. It was AIW, but it was something totally different. It was great.
Yeah, and that was kind of that was the idea of it, was to have fun and, do something a little bit like, I guess, like, canon, but not canon within the AIW world, and let some of these, guys try out different characters and do something fun and kind of let loose a little bit. And some stuff worked, some stuff didn't work, but I still think everybody was thoroughly entertained one way or the other, whether stuff was working or wasn't working. And, I saw all kinds of feedback on every match. You know what I mean? Some people loved the Swamp Monster and Hilljack. Some people hated the Swamp Monster and Hilljack. Some people loved,
you hate that?
Some people loved, Last Call Tommy Tequila the best. You know what I mean? There's just like all kinds of like the feedback was really all over the map, honestly, on social media. And, yeah, I think it was fun. I think, it certainly helped us work within the limitations of that old ring as well. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I thought that was a great way to go out with that ring, and now going forward, we should be able to have full on AIW shows in this new low boy ring that we bought. You know what I mean? It's going to have all the capabilities of, a regular show ring. It's just going to be a little bit closer to the ground, which, if anybody remembers, that's how that ring was, in those early Winchester shows. There weren't a lot of limitations in it. So right. I'm excited to see, the Winchester shows, quality-wise pick up as well. But I thought Calling All Skeletons is, I think it lived up to the hype of we wanted it to be Chikara and Crystal Meth. I think we certainly hit that description. And obviously I think Hilljack versus the Swamp Monster was probably the most memorable of all the matches. But there was a lot of interesting stuff, and I had really no input on anybody what they were doing. I just gave them parameters. So, right. When the Duke shows up in a full fucking coal miner's outfit with a gas mask and a pickaxe, I was a little shocked at some of the creativity of everybody and some of the lengths people went to for their costumes.
I was standing right by you when he walked in, and he had the big pickaxe and everything, and you're like, what the hell? You're like, where did you get all that stuff?
Yeah, he said he went to Home Depot and bought it all. I mean, it was a real pickaxe.
Oh, yeah.
As we saw when Eric Taylor thought that a pickaxe wasn't going to go through a steel chair, and totally just like destroyed it, impaled the steel chair that was in the corner. Because it was a real pickaxe. Sparks flew off that chair when he hit it.
Absolutely just impaled that thing like it was a freaking ear getting pierced, like pink right through that sucker with no shot whatsoever. But I also just think Calling All Skeletons was a real test or real testament or whatever you want to call it. I think it was really showing that AIW and the school and the kids and all the people that you book can go outside of the box. I mean, that was a tough, risky show to say, okay, come to this venue and watch an entire show of gimmicks and people that you've never heard of and never seen. There's not really going to be any storylines except for the storyline that we literally make up in front of your face in this ring. That is a tall task to ask in the age of everyone's holding a cell phone. They got Instagram. There's apps they could watch. Oh, this match is boring. I'm going to go on my phone. The fact that we got the people to buy in on so many of those matches, I think, is just such a great testament to how good AIW is, that there was so many great moments that, I mean, Bobby Buncakes Buick versus the frickin' Gabagool. The jokes that Kaplan was doing in the ring was worth the price of admission alone. That just Kaplan doing stand-up was incredible. And then they come out and have a great match. I mean, as Dom said, I don't think anyone went there expecting to see some of these Matt classic wrestling 10 out of 10 wrestling matches. But the show that they put on was as entertaining as it could be, and I think it just shows how great AIW is.
Yeah,
personally,
I think it really tested a lot of the guys to show some range and versatility and what they can do in the ring. And it's funny. I told I'm going to go behind the curtain a little bit here. Sam Hardaway Holloway was the Hilljack for anybody that didn't know this shocking news. And I said, Sam, I don't know, man. I think you might have to be Hilljack going forward. And he said, I don't know if I'm going to be Hilljack going forward, but Sam Hardaway Holloway certainly learned a ton from Hilljack that he's going to take with him, as he continues on with his career. So I thought that was kind of a little interesting response, Sam admitting how much that he learned from doing this ridiculous, Hilljack character, and how, now he wants to kind of apply some of what he did to his actual, wrestling persona and career going forward. What that is, I don't know, but I thought that was that was really honestly the response I think I was looking for, but I didn't expect. You know what I mean? Like, it was set up there for everybody to learn something.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's for sure because I loved Hilljack. Hilljack was great. But I think you're right. It like gave him a safety net to kind of try and do these things. And like he said, like maybe he did some stuff that he liked and he's going to use going forward. And maybe if he wouldn't have, it would have been okay because he's like, well, that was Hilljack. He never has to go back to that. I was just trying something. They're not going to say, oh, Hardway, Holloway, you're terrible. You did well. No, that was Hilljack. You know what I mean? You could have the safety net to try whatever you want. And for him, I think it worked out great because that character that match alone was incredible. I mean, if Hilljack doesn't come out for a gauntlet at some point, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm not going to lie.
Well, that's what's interesting too. Is like now everyone has this like fallback character now. You know what I mean? That
sure
they could bust out for an easy pop on one of these North Canton shows, or you know what I mean? Like if we go to Wadsworth, or you never know where this other persona could pop up, and maybe they never pop up ever again. But the thought is always going to kind of be in the back of everyone's head, and I think that's also interesting. Obviously, there was 200 people there or whatever, so the joke is only really going to hit with 200 people. But I think that the kind of I don't know, like the legend of this show will live on a little bit. And, like I said, you never know if or, when or whatever someone's going to do one of these characters ever again. And they may never do it. But if they do it, like, you said, if a Hilljack makes an appearance or something like that, I think people are going to be there for it. And they're going to, they're going to pop for it because it was such a unique and interesting show. And, it was fun, you know what I mean? Like I was in tears laughing watching Swamp Man versus Hilljack, and
so many.
Like if that was a regular AIW show, I'd have been like, "This is the fucking worst thing ever." But within the the bubble of what the show was, it was perfect. You know what I mean? And right. I think everybody was on board with the fun of it. But I did have Steve Guy make a couple PSA announcements like, hey, if you've never been to a show before,
always be like this.
It's not like this, because I can only imagine if I was like, oh man, wrestling on a Thursday night, and then like you go in and you aren't in on the joke, right? Like the AIW regular fan base was in on the joke. They were playing along with the joke. But like imagine like you are, Joe Smith that was like, oh, I'm going to see wrestling at the Winchester. Like, you were probably like, what in the fuck is this?
Especially right out the gate, the very first match, the kid rode a fucking bike to the ring in a hot pink jumpsuit versus Burt Dangle. So if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, you're like, what the fuck is about to happen?
It was like this like weird, you know what I mean? Like it was almost like a jab at like generic indie wrestling in a way, but like it was, I don't know. It was It was so fun because AIW isn't always like that. But like the joke is there's plenty of wrestling that is always like that. And I think everybody had fun with it and embraced it. But I did keep telling Steve, like, there are some fucking people here I've never seen before. You need to do a couple PSAs because, man, like, I could only imagine. Like, I'm not fucking going back to this fucking shit ever again. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? There's a guy in a fucking, a swamp mask and, has seaweed coming out of his clothes.
A fucking zombie came from backstage.
Yeah, like, I can only imagine with, like, some guy that's like, oh, man, I'm a big wrestling fan. I'm going to see this wrestling show. You know what I mean? Like, I kept telling Steve, please make a fucking disclaimer announcement that this is not a regular show.
Mikey had the coal and shit all over his face, and when they pulled his sock off, he had all his whole foot was black from like coal miner's foot. It was fucking great.
Yeah, there's like a lot of little. Some people went like really above and beyond with like the little Easter eggs that they put together, for their characters, and that's a testament to the how serious the performers took it. You know what I mean? Like everybody went out and. I think put their best foot forward one way or the other, and it was a super fun night.
Oh yeah.
We did talk about Potentially making it like a yearly thing to where, around Halloween time, we always kind of try that at the Winchester or a venue like that. So, it's not off of, it's not outside the realm of possibilities for 2023, Caden, for us to do the best show of the year again. My only worry is, it won't live up to the hype, like it'll get diminishing returns again. Because there's only one time you can come up with the Swamp Man versus Hilljack. You know what I mean? Like you can't create that again.
What if that's the only time you see the Hilljack though? What if the Hilljack defends the title only like if he only comes out like a full moon? You know what I mean? Like you're only gonna see the Wolfman, at Calling All Skeletons. It could be something. I don't know. I think that show I think the show has a lot of potential.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it every year or bi-yearly, maybe every other year.
I mean, it's certainly been discussed. I mean, it was strangely like one of the best Winchester pre-sales ever, with nothing advertised at all. I think people were just curious, honestly.
People love the opportunity to wear a fucking stoom, dude. They wear costumes. They're like, costumes? Everyone's wearing costumes? All right, I'll show up if I can wear a stoom.
Shout out to Trombetta, the winner of the costume contest.
Such a great costume.
Secret Shopper costume contest. We weren't sure how to do it, and I was like, I don't want to like parade every single person up there. You know what I mean? That wore a costume. That's just going to take forever. So we were just kind of secret shopping it, and I saw Trombetta, and Pedro was keeping his eyes on some people, and we narrowed it down to the three that we thought were the best and took it seriously. There was the Bill Alfonso costume, which was great, and the Kevin Owens costume. Those were the three winners, I believe. But yeah, Trombetta knocked it out of the park. He even brought a real NWA title with him. So.
Oh, legend, dude. Trombetta's a legend. He knew the task at hand, and he took care of business, that's for sure. But I think the Secret Shopper, we kind of discussed it on the podcast prior to, the week before. We kind of said that was, I think that's really the only way we could have did it, because like I said, I went to the LVAC one, and you got to bring everyone in there. It almost sort of becomes like a popularity contest. Are people even going to be paying attention?
Right.
You're going to get a real gauge of, what's the best. And the way we did it, everyone just kind of threw out the show. Oh, did you see that costume? Did you see that? Everyone was kind of just discussing how good some of the costumes were. And then at the end, we were like, what do you think? And that was, I think it was the easiest way. It was almost a unanimous that everyone knew Trombetta won, and then 2 and 3 were right there behind him. I just think it was so easy to do.
Right. And like I said, you don't do that popularity contest thing where like someone with maybe not the best costume wins because they have the most friends there. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
I think, I did like the Secret Shopper kind of, low key costume grading contest, so to speak. But yeah, I thought it was fun. You know what I mean? Obviously hit the Winchester kitchen for some good burgers after the show. You always got to get food when you're at the Winchester every show.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we're back there until March because we couldn't get in there in January. So, trying to do them, trying to spread them out. I think, there's 4 or 5 there next year. So and there's possibility to add again or, subtract one, whatever.
It's just such a good time on a Thursday night, It's just, I really love, we just have AIW. I don't want to toot the horn too bad. It's just I really like it. You get those Thursday night shows every once in a while. You get a little midweek, you just feel you want to do a Thursday night. Our normal Friday shows, big shows, and then even you get a Saturday every once in a while. It's like I love it. I love the AIW schedule.
Yeah, you got to kind of bounce it around a little bit. So
changes it up. I like it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of kind of different things, potentially in the schedule for next year, and the Winchester. Obviously, we want to continue that relationship there. We went as far as to buy a new ring for it. So, the Winchester Thursday shows are here to stay. Some people want us to increase the schedule, but I don't think we're there yet. You know what I mean? Maybe as we get more students or things like that, and they need to wrestle more, maybe we can add more Winchester dates. But right now, I think we've been doing it at a perfect kind of rate at every other month or every 3 months, things like that, to where they stay fresh, people don't get burnt out, and we can keep them pretty unique.
Right. Well, what else is coming up on the horizon you want to discuss? We discussed the new ring, the cage. We reviewed up a little Calling All Skeletons. What do you got? You want to talk about what's on the horizon here for Hell on Earth?
Well, I mean, I'm sure next week I'm holding us to it. We're going to do a full preview podcast of Hell on Earth.
Again. Okay.
But some people have been asking me, if we're getting a big meet and greet person, and we just have not been able to lock anyone down as of yet, outside of Matt Cardona returning. There's just a lot of, conventions and different things going on next week. And we used to be the only show that ran Black Friday. Now there's, I know at least of 3 other shows that are running on Black Friday next week. And, there's just less and less of those people available now. So we haven't been able to lock anyone down, but I will say tickets are selling steadily. We're down to 20 second row tickets and 20 third row tickets, and then it's just GA. Front row has been sold out for over a month already. So get those tickets. I think this show always does well for us. I think I don't know if we're going to beat last year. Last year was the biggest gate in company history. I don't know if we're going to hit that again, without one of those big meet and greet people.
Yeah.
But certainly I would love to try. I would. I don't see why the show wouldn't draw. It always does pretty well for us, regardless of who's on it. So, my goal is to come close to what we did last year. I don't know if we can do it, but that's really up to the people, right? It's a big, gigantic space. We're back at the 4 Sports in Eastlake, huge room, and they want us to
nightmare for me.
They want us to do more stuff out there. So it's next Friday is going to be a true test to see if we need that big name to pack a building like that, or if we can do it, with the regular crew. Some people think we can't do it. Some people think we need, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I'm kind of like, I want to see how it goes. It's certainly a big test for us, to see what we can do without that huge, meet and greet person. It makes me a little nervous, obviously, 'cause it is such a big space. But I'm positive that I think that we can have a real decent outing next Friday, and I think people will come out to support it. I'm not doom and gloom in that just yet. We're still 2 weeks out almost, but yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I have been doing a lot of homework, and I'm getting things squared away. The 4 Sports is an enormous building. Last year there was a lot of people. It has to be loud. You have to be able to hear it. We've been having some technical issues on the end of sound. And it's just buildings. There's things you have to deal with. There's some hoops you have to jump through. So I'm trying to work my best on it. I'm trying to get some things squared away for Hell on Earth, so that way it's going to be a great show. I think we can pack the place. Personally, I've seen us do it before without huge names. Hell on Earth is one of our best shows, so I feel pretty confident. Personally,
I think it's a strong lineup. I think it's a lineup built to draw, and built to sell tickets. So I'm hopeful, you know what I mean? But only time will tell, right? Where we're at right now, I don't think, regardless, it's going to be a total embarrassment of a turnout.
Oh, no way.
But we still have
front row is already sold out,
right? But we still have a long way to go, right?
Sure.
but certainly not going to be as embarrassing as some of the other shows that have happened in Cleveland in 2022. So that makes me happy, right? But we have we have a long way to go to meet my personal expectation, and the AIW expectation. You know what I mean? Like, I think that what was interesting with the schedule was for the summer schedule was we finally got that slap of reality in the face, right? In that Kent show, that did not draw very well. You know what I mean? So it was proof that we are not, and that there's all sorts of reasons why it didn't go well, but right. To me, I take that as we aren't a sure bet every time. We are capable of failure. And I did consider that show a failure, even though it was, it was a bought show. So we didn't have anything to worry about. I still considered it a failure, as far as, our just internal expectations of what we can do as a company. And I took that as a big reality check. So, my expectations for next Friday are high, and like I said, I don't think it's going to be embarrassing no matter what where we're at, but we have a long way to go to hit the expectation of what I think we can do. So, it's kind of like a wait and see, but this far out where we're at, I'm confident that we can have a strong showing on Black Friday like usual.
Well, let's do this. Let's put it out to the talent that's out there. I think the card is great. I've seen it. I know what's going on. I say we throw it out to the wrestlers. Let's see some promos. Let's see some videos. Cut some vignettes. Do some. Let's get some hype going for these matches. Let's see it. I know they're capable of it. I've seen the wrestlers do it. I say let's throw the gauntlet out there.
I agree. And, that's another thing as far as, what I was talking about, this kind of, internal reorganization that we're doing as a company to where, now we have this production aspect and, podcasting aspect and Patreon aspect and, you know what I mean? Just all these, live shows and, just all these kind of different avenues. Some of the people that are kind of, I would call them like lieutenants within the AIW, organizational chart or whatever. They want to start kind of having monthly meetings to where, we can keep things on track like this and, say, hey, we need a promo from X, Y, and Z person. We need to do this from X, Y, and Z person. We need to get a podcast with this person hyping their upcoming match, stuff like that. To where, as we head into 2023, we should be operating on all cylinders if, we can kind of, start getting together on a regular basis and dot these I's and cross these T's and really figure out how to grow this company. Because, we, regardless of what people may think of AIW, we're not the most talked about promotion or whatever. We're still very successful and very financially stable. And I think that we have so much room to work off of that. You know what I mean? Like there's so much more room to grow and evolve the company. And I think, as we get more organized and, do these things, I think that there is a ton of potential in, getting back to a promo schedule and, driving stories more than, just, to our live audience. I think that there's so much more room to grow, and I think if you go back and, you think about those Go for Broke shows, it showed that we are certainly capable of doing things like that. And now we have way more resources and way more equipment and way more people kind of, behind everything. So I think that there is a lot of potential for us in 2023. And, I'm glad that you brought that up, throwing the gauntlet out at the performers, because a lot of it does fall on the performers to, get people involved. But, I think as a company, we're going to have to get a little bit more organized and put that pressure on the wrestlers to kind of, put that content out there and promote themselves.
I just think after what I've seen this summer and the schedule that we did and the matches and everything that we did this summer, and now with all the potential that we have, the equipment and the means and all the stuff going on, that I think the future is brighter than ever with what we can put forward and the talent and the crew that we have. I think all the wrestlers we have and people on the card are of the top right now. We got the best guys, and I think, hell, going into 2023, I think going into this winter, I mean, this Hell on Earth card is going to be something. I think AIW is going to start clicking on all cylinders just because I've seen what we've done. I've seen what was so many people stepped up. A lot of people, like we were talking about earlier, Dustin Alberti, loved the shit out of that guy. He gets things done. He gets out there, he does it. We got Pedro, one of the most unsung heroes of independent wrestling. That guy is a fucking legend. He gets shit done. He makes it happen. I mean, there's things that haven't even been talked about that you're going to see this weekend. The man gets shit done. Ethan killing on the cameras. All the students. If I'm forgetting anybody, I'm sorry, but I think AIW this summer showed so much. And going forward with what we have, get ready because we're going to start blowing the doors off people.
It's funny, and I don't want to blow your spot here, but I was talking to some.
Go ahead.
I was talking to some.
You're the owner.
Well, no, I was talking to somebody, and somebody said, somebody told me, you've been criticized by people as being nothing more than a company man these days, as far as AIW is concerned. And what I said to that is, I don't necessarily consider it being like a company yes man. I just think that you have had the privilege of getting a different purview of things that most people don't get to see, and you kind of see the machine in at work. You know what I mean? Like you don't see the finished project. You've kind of had the the benefit of seeing the machine in action hours before people show up, and seeing how it goes and how it operates a little bit behind the curtain. And so I said I could see how it's easy for people to think that, but they have also not seen what you have seen. For you who has, come from, attending the shows to being a part of the company, I think that's probably a big eye-opening experience for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something, too, that, like, I liked wrestling as a kid, and then I started coming to the shows. I'm like, this is a lot of fun. But I've also been, like, a production person. I went to broadcasting school. I did cinematography when I was in high school for skateboarding and stuff like that. And just, I enjoy being creative and doing this and being a part of a team and working hard and getting this shit done. And when you're back there, you can't help but get caught. Like, I love it. This is the best. Like, when you see everyone working together, and I'm a company man. I guess this is my company. I'm fucking all for it. I love AIW till I fucking die. So I mean, hey, it is what it is. I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I just do, like, I see so much potential for us to grow with now that we have the means, like you said,
right?
As far as the equipment and the right people, and people stepping up. And Dustin, like you said, is a perfect example of, someone who is, he attended the shows, he trained at the school, he quit the school, he went back to attending the shows, he attended the school again. And, now he is, finding his place,
right.
Well, maybe he will, maybe he won't wrestle. He's finding a place for him within the company by stepping up and offering to help in all these different avenues. He's just one example of many, you know what I mean? Pedro again as well. Pedro just texted me. He went and, after we loaded everything in last week in the storage unit, he just went today and he took everything out of the storage unit and reorganized it all so it fit better. So when the crew goes to load in next weekend, it's going to be a smoother process. Like, he just spent his entire day doing that.
That's just like, he's the man, dude. Like, there is nobody like him. And like, that's the type of people that we have on our side. And I think with this crew going forward, there isn't anything we can't do.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of potential. And, like, I don't want to sit here and like jerk ourselves off too much on this podcast, but it just, it really does feel right. Like, I was very nervous about it all. I was very, made a hastily bet on ourselves. I'll say that.
Yeah. Did you throw, go push all in too quick or a little too hastily almost?
Without,
I feel like
without thinking it all the way through. But, regardless, the crew that is behind me can evolve with my hasty decisions, I think. And I think that people have stepped up and have welcomed the challenge, I think it has ultimately just motivated people. You know what I mean? Like Chase Oliver, just the guy showed up and wrestled. You know what I mean? Now he's running the whole production, and he's, traveling to shows and doing their production. And, he's, being hired to do other things. And there's just been a lot of people that have stepped up in the last few months that I think really just sky is the limit in 2023. And, I never like getting too far ahead of ourselves. You know what I mean? I don't want to grow too fast. I don't want to, because I want this company to be sustainable. I think sustainability is better than short-term hype or buzz or money or anything like that. So I think that there is a lot of, just a ton of room for us to grow into these new tasks and, avenues into 2023.
I'm excited. I can't wait, personally.
I guess we can wrap it up on that. And hopefully next week we do a full preview of Hell on Earth, and we get back to kind of our show recapping and all that stuff that we've put off for all this time. This podcast at one time was very, very highly downloaded, so I would like to.
It was a weekly podcast, yeah. I mean, let's just say it. I can say it right now. Next Wednesday, a week from today, I'm either during the afternoon, like we're doing right now, or in the evening. I can do either one. And if you're down, let's say, hey, guaranteed you will get a podcast again next Friday, previewing Hell on Earth.
All right, sounds good.
Sounds good. We'll see you next week.